Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're starting a little bit late here, but it's because Jeff has shitty ass Wi-Fi. So go ahead and
blame
blame.
me.
Of course, I freaking have to. Like I have to. I have to blame someone's. But we have a excellent show
Blame Paul.
planned for everyone here tonight. We are continuing trying to get new people on every week to see who in the Schmoedown Afterspace does well when it comes to just talking around and talking with people about the Schmoedown. So it's going to be a very fun night tonight. When we had initially sent all of the competitors what the matches we were discussing, which was Sunday night, we were all good. And then Christian decides on Monday and Tuesday, no, you get 10 more matches. And I'm like, we will not do those this week because I don't want to be here for 3 hours. So we're going to do the 4 that we initially had sent our panel. So they'll be able to do all of that. So it'll be a very fun night. We got first here on the channel. We got our first Schmoedown competitor. So I'm very excited about that. But let me start introducing our panel. Up first, he is actually good friends with one of the new rookies in the Schmoedown. He also runs a fan league, so he definitely knows movie trivia. He loves the Schmoedown. From Spin from the Real, Mr. Matt Thomas. How's it going, Matt?
It's going good. Got to see a movie I will not disclose about a month early, so I'm feeling great right now after watching that. And
that is good to hear. Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be here. Happy to talk Schmoedown as always. Just here to have fun. Maybe win a little bit. So
nice.
Yeah.
And not shit on Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah, you don't have to. The movie does it for its own. Let's keep going.
Guys, you two are ridiculous. All right, our next competitor. She is a very unique personality. If you know her, you can probably guess what I am referring to. She loves Tom Hiddleston as Loki. She loves Loki. She literally recently just got a Loki tattoo from the 2-time defending 2 years straight Schmoedown Media of the Year, Miss Kelsey Kirkland from Call to Action.
Hello.
Kelsey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. By the way, it's Tom Hiddleston's birthday today.
I was just about to say, you celebrating that?
Yeah. Oh, after this, I'm celebrating. So. Oh, and here's the tattoo.
She has the tattoo, and she has a Loki button on too. Like she's already ready for the show.
Loki for president.
Wow, Loki for president. All right, introducing our final panelist for the night. He literally won a fan Schmoedown back in 2019 in Orlando. He is from Florida. We all love him. I mean, if you don't, then you're just stupid. It is Jader the Hurricane Paramo.
That is the best introduction ever. Thank you so much for that. Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me on the show, man. How are you guys?
Absolutely, man. Doing great. How are you?
Yeah.
We were late because of PLD. We can admit it. It's fine.
Yep, always.
Yeah, it's always Paul. I don't know why. I don't know why
I'm
Buck had to
kidding.
blame me.
It was me, man. It was me. I apologize for being a little bit late. I double booked the show by accident, man. And I felt so bad because we were in the middle of the shit in the other show. I can curse, right? I'm sorry. I'm very proud mouth. All right, cool. And then I'm kind of like, hey, dude, it's 9 o'clock. I got to go. Thank you. Bah! And I jumped off. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing today, but glad to be part of it.
Don't worry. I think you'll do just fine. It's going to be a very fun night here. But when we had initially asked Jader to be on, we did not know that he would have a match scheduled. So luckily for us, we aren't talking about the matches announced in the last 2 days because it's a little weird to kind of preview your own match. It's fine to kind of discuss your match that you've done, but previewing it is a little odd here. So for those who this is your first time watching, we appreciate you all standing by. Jake, that literally describes everyone.
Yep.
Like
everyone.
Clean-shaven
That's literally
Jader.
how they said hi to me today.
It's like this is so weird.
I've never spoken to Jader face to face before, and I see his face. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you?
Who is this guy, man? You know, it's funny. A bunch of I've had a beard for, I think, going on like 10 years now, right? It's been my son's gonna be 10. So it was when my son was when my son was gonna be born that I started growing out the beard. And a bunch of my friends I have friends that I've been friends with since we were like 12, and we got together. Like 3 of us got together to watch the Super Bowl, and they hadn't seen me with the clean face, and they looked at me and they were like, "Oh, yeah, middle school Jader's back again." They're like, "What the fuck happened, dude?"
Middle school Jader. That's actually pretty funny there. Mike, Deacon throwing some shade there. Jader, the last page.
What's fantasy football?
What's fantasy football?
I honestly,
if you're last place, you know what that means, right? From worst to first, just go by that.
No. I was like, I gotta wear like a shirt or something, or like I don't even know. I signed up, man, and I'll get you guys back next year. I promise you. I'm actually not bad at fantasy football. I just didn't focus since I jumped right back into school. I've been studying like crazy. I feel like I finished my final in December, and I'm doing my ride-alongs and clinicals now, so I can start working for the ambulance, and then once I get a job there, once I get the job there, it's gonna be probably the fire academy. So. We'll see.
Awesome.
Right there, because he literally looks like a baby. So for those of you that have not watched, the way this show works is we basically discuss the most current Schmoedown news, whether it's match announcements, the draft, free agency, discussing matches that have aired. So basically, each competitor, each round will be given one of those topics. They'll be given a prompt. So basically something that we want to hear. They have 90 seconds to themselves to basically discuss that. Once each competitor has discussed, we then get 4 minutes of open talk. So they just basically either go after each other or continue to talk about their actual point that they were trying to make. It's basically how it works. And something new we've added here lately is we will have a clock and score right here. So everyone that's watching, all the panelists will be able to kind of see how they're doing. So it'll be very, very fun here. So we're going to start off with Matt with our first topic of the night. Christian announced that we will get Sean Sullivan. He was nicknamed the Saint last year, but he's on corruption, so I highly doubt he's going to keep that name. And one of these Dragon Con competitors who's pretty well touted, Emily Wilson.
Marie Wilson.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just.
That's why it has an M up there, Buck.
Yeah, just don't pay attention to me right now. So Marie Wilson. Yes, I'm just my head's all over the blood. Matt, my first question to you is: do you feel like Sully, who is 1-1, do you feel like him having to go up against one of these rookies is considered disrespectful?
No, it's not disrespectful at all, because have his matches been close? Yes, but you need to show consistency. So he just lost his last match. When you lose your last match, you go down a peg. He was a rookie last year, so going into this year, what makes sense more than to play another rookie? Sure, could he have played Adam Witt? Yeah, I guess. But at the same time, these Dragon Con players got to go up against someone, and Christian's not going to want them to go up against each other right away. Like, we're not going to see Zach versus any of them. We're not going to see Thomas Harper versus Marie. None of that's going to happen. So at the end of the day, you're just doing what's right. You have to make this league competitive. You built these rookies up to the point where you can't have them play each other because you want to build that momentum for them to be the people who can beat Alex Damon. So if that's going to be the case, you don't pit them up against each other right away. So Sully makes the most logical sense. Like, what else can I say? It's prove yourself. He talked I was watching Call to Action. He did talk shit about the Dragon Con players. He basically said they all had multiple choice. Here's an example of what the question was. Hey, bud, it's trivia. They've had to answer harder questions in Dragon Con that dealt with the shows, movies, books, all that. So comics. That's all I got to say.
All right, just as time is about to expire, some solid points there to Matt. Gets off to a pretty decent lead there. Moving on to Kelsey. So Matt was really talking about all of these Dragon Con competitors, which there's a lot of them. They're all basically were brought in to take down Alex Damon. Do you think Marie Wilson will be one of those competitors? Is Sully the first step to her getting to Alex the Demon Damon?
Honestly, in my opinion, I kind of disagree with what he said about Dragon Con being a good setup for Schmoedown. They are played very differently. I know for me, for example, 2 options, I could get a lot more Schmoedown questions Star Wars Schmoedown questions correct if I were given the 2 options and if I had to come up with them just from somewhere else. So I do, and also just the strategy of the game is very, very different. So I don't necessarily think the Dragon Con players are as set up to win as a lot of people think they are. So I think she's a fantastic player. I think he's very, very well could win this match and go on. But I don't think we should sleep on Sully. I think Sully very well could knock her out in the first game. And it wouldn't be from her lack of knowledge, just be the transition of how different Dragon Con is and how different the Schmoedown is. Because sometimes knowing canon things can actually mess up your being able to pull movie things, because some things, they don't necessarily contradict, but they don't necessarily set you up for success either. So then you're like, wait, you have to overanalyze. Is that from a movie? Is that from the show? And things like that. So I think the Dragon Con people are going to be fantastic, but I do kind of think they're not going to have an advantage in the Schmoedown just because they do very, very, very well in Dragon Con. And I guess that's what I have.
You guys can want to say anything else.
Yeah, go Sully. I don't know.
10 seconds to spare. Look at that.
I had seconds to spare.
I did not give her that point for Go Sully. You can blame Jeff on that one. So.
I plugged that point in about 15 seconds ago. It just took a second for it to get up there.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Moving on. You, Matt.
Yeah, everyone is there up against Matt. So, Jada, we've heard kind of both of them. Matt's really talked about Sully. Kelsey's talked about Marie. All right. So, in my opinion, Sully should have went a lot higher. Do you think the fact that he was passed over by a lot of these Star Wars rookies will light a fire under him, and how far do you think he could go by just using this bulletin board material?
Absolutely is going to light a fire. I'm speaking as one that was obviously passed by certain rookies, and it's no disrespect to them, to be completely honest with you, because they obviously, if they're in the league now, there's something that Christian sees in them. He's watching fan leagues. I've seen fan leagues, not from the Star Wars competitors, but from some of the other competitors, just to study tapes and all that to see what we got to look out for. Speaking from personal experience, there's a lot of fire. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Dragon Con players, I didn't know how serious this was. Again, I'm on a team with Thomas Harper. So he kind of breaks down on our team meetings what they go through, and they're savages, man. They really are savages. They know what the hell they're doing. They're not here by mistake. But you said will Marie be here in a long time is what you asked me?
So yeah, basically, what I was more concerned with you is how far do you think Sully could go by using this, having everyone drafted in front of him? How far do you think he could take this?
I think he's going to take it really far. I've seen Sully play. We all seen Sully play. I know his love for this game. So there's nothing like lighting a fire and trying to prove yourself is one thing that for me this season, I got my match with Janine and whatnot. And when you have something to prove, that hunger is it's there. You're going to get it. So
awesome. All right. So now we have 4 minutes of just talking over each other. I just want to hear you guys. What are your predictions for this match in particular, or what are some things that you want to see? Do you want to see them cut really good promos? Do you want to see a knockout, a TKO? Just kind of your general thoughts as to what you want to see with this match.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing Sully again going from the Saint to Corruption, because he has that wit. You know, he has that. So I know he's going to take shots. Again, I love the promo so much, and Marie herself, like we don't know much about her except what we've seen on the show so far.
Well, here's the thing. You've seen the promo she's cut. She's playing, or the promo she's cut on almost every after show. She's got a fire under her ass, especially now since Bushcar. Like this is the thing. Bushcar went before her. We had almost all 3 Dragon Con players right off the board to begin with.
Oh yeah,
and there was one other Star Wars player who was a rookie who went before her. She's pissed, and what I was saying about Sully before. About what he said on, I'm not doubting Sully, but the fact of the matter is, all these Dragon Con players keep talking about how I'm zeroing in on this material. I don't have to worry about this other stuff right now. I can focus on the movies. They've rearranged how they're studying. It's not like studying for Dragon Con. And to get them prepped to be ready for these matches is their manager's job. The managers are going to have to get them ready to play as if they're already in the Schmoedown. And in the case of Thomas, we'll see what Kate can do. But for Zach, he's got Alex Damon who can help him out on top of Roxy. For Marie, she's got Sam Levine. Like, how are you gonna just not?
That's part of it, though, is that like she is going super early into the season playing. So how much of that prep has she actually gotten to do? Like, she is going to get next to no couple weeks of getting to work with Sam and getting prepared to adapt to the Schmoedown and switch her mindset to movies. If this match was 3 months from now, I would absolutely agree. But it's now. She's got to get going because she doesn't have that much time to alter the way she thinks about trivia to adapt to the Schmoedown.
But here's the thing. She's already done that. And I've known that from talking to her. She's going on these after shows talking about how she's looked at every single Star Wars match that she's can. She's studying how the questions are asked. She's preparing to take on these questions, the Schmoedown type questions, not Dragon Con questions, the Schmoedown. And to take that mindset into the league before you're even in there is an important factor. That's
absolutely. I agree. But once those lights hit, it's a totally different game, man. I'm telling you that from experience. I sit down and watch the show, and I would be like this. Once those lights, especially if once they start hitting studio matches, is a whole different ballgame.
But here's where she's at an advantage. She's already used to being in front of the lights. When Dragon Con actually happens, they're playing in front of a crowd of a couple of hundred. It's like playing in a live event. So how are you supposed to say, what about when the light show? They have that experience already. That's something not a lot of the other rookies have coming into this.
What Sean has on top of her, and it's obvious, is that he's played the game. He knows the rules. There's the rule book. It's huge. I don't know if you guys are Patreons or not, but if you guys you guys read the rule book. It's a long rule book. There's a lot to memorize. You got to be on top of the challenges, whatnot. It's not going to be an easy task. Does she have the knowledge? Absolutely. I'm sure she does because she's come praise from a lot of our players.
She's come praise from Alex Damon, the champ.
Alex Damon, exactly. No, same thing.
But also, like, Sully not only has been in the Schmoedown for a while, he's been in the community and at the Schmoedown watching types of that for a very, very long time. It's like saying, he's born in the darkness. She's just coming here and joining and trying to catch up. He knows the game so well. He's been a part of it, even if not officially, for a very long time.
You can be a part of the game, but that doesn't mean somebody can't come in and take you on no issue. We've seen it happen before.
And time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Really, I actually really enjoyed everyone's thoughts and points there. Because everyone brought up some solid points. Like Jader was saying, playing the game at home is completely different than sitting in front of, like, if you're doing it in a studio, probably 15 to 20 people with those lights bearing down on you, getting a little warm. Your anxiety probably gets up a little bit. So you're not able to think.
There's Schmoedown pros legit watching you. Like some people that you're trying to prove yourself on your very first, like that shit. It was nerve wracking for me.
To be fair, all the Dragon Con players have had a Schmoedown pro watching them for about the past 3 Dragon Cons. So
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely interesting to see. I mean, especially when you have Sully that had come on so many different like after shows, and he had definitely like ripped apart the idea of
dude,
the Dragon Con
last
people
week
a
on
bunch.
Let's
So
Get Ready,
that's going to be exciting to see.
I saw that
his
first
match is
Call to
against
Action
the Dragon
episode
Con
he was
person.
on talking about him. That's how I found out that the Dragon Con players were official. And I'm like, at first I agreed with them, but as I got to talk and know these and saw that the drive they have, it became a completely different scenario.
Yeah. So I mean that was a really good first round, guys. I'm hopeful that you're getting the hang of how this is going here. Just making sure you jump in and interrupt when you can. Anyways, we're gonna go on to the second topic here. The second topic, one of the big things that happened from the free agency and the draft was Marisol McKee and the big trade that occurred to get her back on Corruption. And now we get to see Marisol actually come back into the ring again for the first time since last fall. And she's going up against the ice pick, Vinny Mancuso, who also had a really big entrance to the stage. And then he flamed out a little quickly there last year, but now he's back too. So, Kelsey, we got this big match coming up against two people that both seem to have a lot of promise. A lot of people seem to have a lot of faith in them going on this year. I guess I want to ask, who do you think might come out on top? But really, it's more so, who do you think has more to prove coming in this year?
For this match, for sure, I definitely think Marisol has a lot of weight on her shoulders from everything that happened with the draft. Shannon did some big moves to get her on the team, even if it's not pressure from Shannon. Which I'm sure it's not, but I'm sure Marisol's pressure on herself is extraordinary to prove that it was worth it to do what Shannon had to do to get her back on the team. I mean, Vinny is a great competitor. He's very solid. I don't think the pressure's on him as much though, because I mean, they both have the same record, 1-1, but there was no major trades that had to go up behind getting him on there. He was picked a little bit slightly later in the draft and things like that. So he's just there to play. He does want to prove himself to Winston, but Marisol does not only have her own pressure on herself, but the audience, because we all want to see that Shannon made the right move, giving up her 2 rounds, first picks to get her. And I think it's honestly going to make her even stronger as a player. I think she will probably do well under that pressure and that heat. I think it will add this fire to her that she already kind of has, but it'll just like turn it up to 11. So I have Marisol winning it. I do think it's going to be a very good game, but I feel like it's almost like a perfect breeding ground to make her even a scarier competitor than what we saw last season. So it's going to be a good match. Marisol's got it. She's going to kick butt. Dun, dun.
You yield your time.
I yield my time.
I yield my time.
All right, cool. Well, Jader, I know that Kelsey brought up a really good point there of, there's really a whole lot on Marisol's shoulders after everything that occurred this year. Not so much on Vinny. What do you think Vinny has to do in order to kind of break out after this match? Not just normal win. Do you think he has to kind of really come out on top and kind of, I guess, make a good promo somehow to really kind of get himself above, since he did kind of drop a little lower in the draft as well?
Yeah, I mean, promo's one thing. He needs to show up, and this is not taking a shot at him whatsoever, because I know the knowledge that the man has. He's a very knowledgeable player, but one thing about McKee is the pressure is on her. I know we're talking about Vinny, but the pressure really is on McKee because, she obviously was the one that wasn't signed. You're in a team full of champions. She's very knowledgeable. She's a scary player, and I met her in Orlando as well. So with Vinny, he just needs to get on the tapes, study her out completely, and just bring it. Because imagine Vinny coming out with a win, how big it'll be for his name that he took down someone as big as Marisol McKee. Because no pun intended, she took this league by storm, So him cutting a good promo and just studying, he needs to come on top. He really does. Fuck, bro, that's pretty much it. Sorry.
All right, man. You don't always have to use all the time if you don't have anything else left to say there. Brandon, what do you have for a follow-up question here from Matt?
Okay, Matt. So we've kind of heard them both talk about Vinny and Marisol McKee. What my question is for you is, say Marisol loses this match, does it automatically guarantee that Kate won the trade?
All right, hold on 1 second here. Matt's audio got a little funky there. So, we're going to hold on. No one's going to say anything. We're going to see how great this is great for radio.
Technology.
I actually, same thing. I was cutting in and out. I had to take off the AirPods. It kept cutting me out. I couldn't hear it. Like half of what Kelsey said last round, I couldn't hear it.
We've all been having like pretty poor internet tonight, haven't we? Yeah. Like me at the beginning here. Hopefully things are doing a little better. Kelsey did freeze up for me at one point. You were a little choppy. Yeah. You good? No.
Can't hear you.
Nope, can't hear you.
You should deduct points for this. Just
points. Oh man.
Should be good. Can you?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Did you hear my question?
No, because I was so focused on I've seen the tech difficulties on my end. I'm like trying to get your attention. Like, hold on 1 second, and then I went to the private chat. So.
Okay. No. That's fine. So basically, what I was saying is we have discussed here that huge trade that Shannon and Kate made to get Marisol back on corruption. If she were to lose this match, does it guarantee automatically that Kate won the trade?
Oh, without a doubt. So here, realistically, and we've seen this in the past with the Schmoedown, if you lose early on, there's a chance you're not seen again until the tournament. So if Marisol doesn't win this, there's a chance we don't see her for 3, maybe 4 months. How are you supposed to justify trading your 1 and the 2 for a player who's not going to see the field for another 3 months, maybe, if she doesn't win? Like, I told Chris, I said this to Chris the moment this was announced. This is where we find out who won the trade. Granted, have we found out teams is coming back? Yes. We prefer to call them disruption, but is deception gonna possibly get more points? All still plays, yes, but those single points are going to be valuable. Are there other people who can make up for on the team, like a Mark Hoyk and Sean Sullivan and possibly even Jacob Blunden? Yes, but at the end of the day, you traded what could have been 2 values for this one player. Just this one. So if you're going to go into this, she has to win. She has to come in. I have to go perfect. If she doesn't go, like, that's what you have to do. And even Vinny took Ethan Irwin to the wire in the tournament last year. How are we supposed to ignore that? He's actually a very good player. So that's all I got to say.
Good, solid points there. No, it's just the thing that crossed my mind because I don't want this. I don't know how this is going to come across, but I feel Marisol is a little bit overhyped. She's 2-2 in singles and teams. But everyone is talking about how she's like a top 10 player. I personally don't see it that way.
I don't think I wouldn't call it overhyped there because, I mean, you also have to look at the accuracy and just how each of those matches played out. When that's just boiled down to just the numbers, I mean, yeah, someone can easily be called overhyped if they're not necessarily, but they're not actually be that way. However, I mean, you guys, same question there. Does this sort of thing with the trade and, I guess, what do you guys think about what each other had to say there? I mean, is she overhyped there, or do you think that she's exactly as hyped as she should be, and she has a great future?
I think she has a great future, but where she stands right now, she is a little bit overhyped. She's had 2 matches. She did lose to Paul Oyama. You can't but that was one of her weaker matches that she's played. Like, at the end of the day, she's the one who saved Adams Collins' ass in the team tournament with that 5-pointer.
There you go.
She's actually played better in situations. Adam Collins, when you boil it down and look at the numbers, if I remember correctly, he's 1 in 3 on 5-pointers, 1 in 4, somewhere around there. How are you supposed to just say we're declaring him the baby goat, just like people were declaring Patrick Mahomes the baby goat? That's not the case. Marisol is a very important piece of the cog that is corruption. She brought year. So if you lose her this early on, that's a big blow. That's a huge blow. And you have to rely on these other people who haven't played as much going forward. So
I think in the situation with her rating, things like that, I think as a player before the draft and everything started, she was very appropriately rated. Everyone thought she was a fantastic player. Her and Adam Collins are very strong competitors together, and she's very strong in singles, things like that. I do think just the whole situation with the signing and the trade and everything like that adds a level of infamy to her that I still think she does kind of have to prove. She has a fantastic record, but I think that's just setting the bar up so much higher for her to need to reach to kind of prove herself, not only to the fans, but the critics and things like that as well. So as a player, all in all, I think she is very appropriately rated, but I do think just the whole thing with the draft did kind of make her have to prove it even more than she probably would have if she would have been just regularly drafted or picked up under circumstances.
It puts target on her back.
No,
that's what it does. It puts target on her back.
It's a big pressure. It's a big pressure on Marisol. But I don't think she's overrated at all. This is me personally chatting with her. This is obviously, again, behind the scenes shit. Her knowledge is there. And I feel the same thing. When I saw, I gave her all the props in the world when I saw the teams tournament, because she saved Collins' ass. Again, this is not debunking what the man knows. He's a champion for a reason. He knows
exactly.
But she definitely saved his ass. Her knowing those Hitchcock questions off rip like that, she, like it's very impressive, the things that she knows. I'm, again, we're not, the season is war and everything, but I'm a big fan of hers, right? And that's why I feel like Mancuso needs to bring it. Yes, again, you mentioned Vinny taking or bringing Irwin, but he kind of struggled with the Catherine Bigelow.
Yes,
he did,
and he did.
There you go. Boom. But overall, again, it goes back to saying, I just feel like it adds. They both have so much pressure on them right now.
Well,
Marisol because of the trade, and Mancuso because obviously the knowledgeable player, and he's going against someone that's considered, again, a top 10 player. And just like Matt had mentioned earlier, like you don't win a match, you're not gonna see anybody until tournament comes.
And here's
the other thing. I'm looking at the stats right now. Marisol has him beat in singles by about 12 percentage points. He's got her beat in teams by about 6. Granted, we know those slats are a little bit slanted because teams counts for what your team hits.
Yes.
But by any means, is this over? Is this going to be one of those situations where this is one of Winston's first 2 singles and teams players picked up. Winston needs, and I love Winston. He needs Mancuso to win here. Granted, does he have Zipper? Yes, but he also has that backup. And if we doesn't
time,
damn.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I think Matt's been able to figure out on how to do these.
I know how to do this. I know how to do this. Don't worry about it. This is me.
See, that is always the very interesting thing to see with everyone here with their first time. Is some people figure out how to use that crosstalk. You don't necessarily have to give the best points. You just got
to talk over and keep.
You just got to talk, and most people will just kind of
lay
back.
I was like, okay.
So yeah, maybe just kind of throwing that out there, maybe to help you guys.
Yeah, no, it's like if you caught the end of last week's one when Ferris won. He made sure to say, I figured it out at the end. I had 3 minutes against Danny. If I could talk for 2 of those minutes, then I beat her. And so then he made sure to do.
Man, why you got to give this shit away, Jeff? I was.
Damn. All right. Moving on to.
In the room, Matt.
You just mad because I actually like Malcolm and Marie. Let's be honest.
Man, you're allowed to like what you like, even if they're bad things.
Okay, moving on to the next match, or just one of the 4 that Christian announced, is I was very surprised by this one. I would say they're probably the top 2 rookie IG players. We have Amaru Moses versus Jesse Swift. I'm very surprised Christian did this because I would feel like he would want both of these rookies to do very well. So the fact that he's pitting them against each other, whoever loses this match, like several people have said, is they may not get a match for a while. But I feel like the pressure is a little bit more on Moses. Just the fact that he went number 2 overall. Jader, I don't know how much you know about either one of these rookies, but nothing.
I know. I've spoken to Amaru, and I again kind of picked his brain a little bit, and he was in. I know he was in big talks, obviously, around the whatchamacallit, during the draft, but got nothing, man.
All right, you don't got nothing on him. All right, so we'll go with this. Just how do you think this match will go with 2 rookies playing their first match?
2 rookies playing their first match. All right, so again, nerve-wracking. It's gonna be a little bit easier on them. I feel because they're at home. At home, it's a different ball game. But again, it all depends. I don't know again how deep their knowledge goes. I know it's IG, but Moses over Swift, I've heard his name countless times. Again, I have a lot of I have a lot of friends that are part of the big names, managers and all that, and they were all asking me if I knew anything. So his name was mentioned so many times during the draft. Do I know anything? Hey, have you heard about this kid? I like he seems very, very promising. I feel bad that I'm not talking anything about Swift because I really don't know anything but his name. And it's no disrespect to him. Again, I've been busy the last couple of months. Overall, again, I feel Moses is you kind of nailed it, Brandon, because he was the number 2 pick overall. He got picked up by Sam. I feel like, again, it was kind of mentioned on the show. As soon as Sam picked up that, and I don't know if that was going to be how they were going to pick up, but he took the rookie. It started becoming everybody started taking the rookies. But Moses has a lot to prove. So to Swift, they want to keep getting matches, but I have Moses taking this just through the word of mouth and everything that everybody has been saying about him.
All right, some great points there. Everyone, don't worry. We're having a little problem with putting up Kelsey's points, so she does have more in this. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got a message from our scoreboard guy. You should lose points for messing Jesse Swift.
I want to know what the score is. Pause.
Her number, I believe, on here is 42, not 40. That's all. So it just hasn't been able to upload those 2. So
okay.
But moving on over there to Matt. Matt, you definitely probably know a little bit more about both these guys, Jesse and Moses. But Jesse probably a little bit more. Do you feel like, say he loses this match, do you think he'll get a match fairly soon, or do you think because he's going up against a top tier rookie and if you are on stereo, anytime Christian has a stereo broadcast, Jesse is in there leaving 3 to 4 matches. So he's putting his name out there. So I think this is Christian saying, can you back up all this talk that you're doing? So do you think Jesse can still get a match fairly soon if he somehow were to lose this match?
See, this situation is a little bit harder. We talked about Marisol's, the Marisol situation, but at the same time, Christian's going to want to see these rookies get burned. If Jesse loses, but he keeps it close, then yes, he can get a match fairly soon because the IG pool isn't as deep as singles or Star Wars this year. The IG is arguably the weakest pool of players this year. We had most of the IG players kept via free agency. But you talked about this before. When I saw that Christian had Amaru versus Jesse right away, they were the first 2 rookie IG players taken. You don't want it. Why are you putting your high Burkett versus Harper first? You don't do that. I think Jesse can come back because I think he's also putting in just a hell of a lot of work. He's come to me and Chris. We ran a couple matches with him. He's going wherever he can to make sure he's as prepared as possible. So even if he doesn't win, he makes such an impression that you can't deny him another match. And that's dedication. That's hard work, and you got to respect that. Like, Jesse doesn't have as much to prove as Amaru, but at the same time, he does, based off of the sheer fact that he was a second IG rookie, and he's got to face the number 2 overall drafted player right out the bat. Not a lot of people can do that. So I think Jesse can, but he has to perform at top level preparation for this match.
All right, solid points there. Kelsey, basically kind of the same question. Moses went number 2 overall. Number 2 overall out of the entire draft. If he loses, is he an automatic bust? Just like a bad draft pick for Sam. Like if he loses this match.
If he loses, I don't think it depends on like how bad. I think. I mean, if he gets KO'd in the first match, then yeah, I think that will kind of be a big red flag, and maybe we don't see him again. I don't see that happening. But even if he loses, but it's like 1 or 2 points or time or something like that, I don't think that means it was a bust, because I think talking to Sam, he did his research very thoroughly before. Like the amount of stuff he said he did to try to pick his draft, he drafted him for a reason, and I think he is going to do very well in his first match. I have to admit, I'm not super excited that it's going to be 2 rookies right off the bat. I do kind of prefer the idea of a rookie versus more of a vet, just that someone you know versus someone you don't. Just because you have a little bit of anticipation, but just from seeing what I know of the game tape of Amaru and Jesse, well, Jesse's like promos and things like that, I think Jesse is the one that has the most to prove, because Amaru's got, I mean, he's got the most to prove because he's a second round pick, but Jesse, he's just unknown. We don't know what he knows at all. We know what he can do in the promo. We know what he can do just in the community and bring up his name and things like that. But he has a very blank slate. And if he comes in as that blank slate and doesn't prove that he can even play with the big boys, things like that, it could be very devastating for the rest of the season for him. So I think he's got a lot to do to at least show he's on the same level as all the other IG players.
Oh, perfect timing there, Kelsey.
Yay!
I mean, it helps when you can see the clock. It's what is extremely helpful there. So we got our 4 minutes here. Just want to get some kind of what we've done with the first 2. What do you want to see out of this match? Do we want a knockout, a TKO, sudden death? Like, is there something that could happen in this match where, say, it goes to the last question, and one of them loses? Does it still put them in kind of the top half of these rookies we're going to see? So just general thoughts on what you want to see from this match.
I wanted to see it go to the very, very end. Yeah. I want them. These are, again, Moses and Swift, names been thrown around like crazy. I feel like if it goes to the last question, or if you show up a good game, and again, Christian likes when you're mentioning these players, right? If you mention these players, he's going to try to get them on, because this is what the fans want. So I learned that actually from my Paul match, that I thought, again, that I played, I with that opponent's choice, got a perfect round 1, perfect round 3. And I heard more people talking about my loss than Tom's win, because they were like, yo, it was impressive what you did. Again, working my round 2. So I want Moses and Swift to be, these are rookies, very promising. Again, names been thrown around like crazy. So then just going to that end, I feel like Christian will give him more of an opportunity.
Honestly, with this being the match that's the very first rookie v rookie match of the season, coming so close off of a huge, enormous pay-per-view match that's coming, I think this one has so much to prove, because this was a very rookie-heavy season, and I think this is when they're going to have to kind of prove it, that why they did it the way they did. Because if this is a very lackluster match and it's like kind of boring and the score isn't very high and like it just kind of teeters out, this is what the rest of the season is going to look like, because look how many rookies we have upcoming. This is what we have to expect.
Hold on. We don't know that's what the rest of the season is going to look like at all, because all these rookies have different.
If that's going to be the first example that we
shouldn't
see,
set expectations.
I am going to be way less excited to watch all further IG.
This is just IG.
Matches.
We have all these singles matches, all these Star Wars matches. You can't just base it off of one single division that has compared to all these different level and style
It
questions
sets the tone,
that all
like
these
just like the
competitors are going to
draft
get.
where
Yes,
the
it sets
rookie
the
got
tone.
drafted the second
Stream
choice.
sheet
It
set
set
the
the tone
tone.
for the rest of the draft. This is going to set the tone for
No
war,
one's saying it's
season
not
8.
setting the tone. Yes,
It's
war.
definitely going
It's
to.
war.
So
It has to be a close match by far. It has to be close, without a doubt. And at the end of the day,
well,
if
it's close,
not
it's like 12 points to 13 points. I mean, like that's
if
like
it's closer to 12 points and 13 points, then that's what happens. Like it happens. We've seen high tier players. Here, Paul Preston this past tournament, he had it was, what did he lose, 14, 15, something like that? It happens.
And then we kind of like stopped paying attention to Paul Preston,
veterans.
and then we just kind of didn't see him
hold
show
on.
up
People
as-
have not stopped paying attention to Paul Preston.
They shouldn't be, but yeah, they are super.
They are
I
not.
love
A
Preston.
lot of
I think
people
he
are
is
super
underrated, but
excited
he is
and
definitely
man, Chris,
underrated.
he is underrated.
Because of
I
how
am
that
with you.
season
I
went.
have not stopped talking about Paul
This is
Preston
great.
because he is a high
Just
tier
been
player.
back.
He's an A tier player. And the fact of the matter is,
Y'all ain't ready for Preston this year. Y'all ain't ready for Preston.
I'm
ready for
excited for
Preston.
Preston, but
Paul is going to kill it this year. Paul is coming
I
back
sure
with a vengeance.
hope so,
He's
but
done
he
with this
can't.
nice boy bullshit. He's done with this nice guy bullshit. End of the day. But here's the thing. Amaru has too much to lose. He has way more to lose than Jesse because he's drafted number 2 overall. Jesse was drafted in the 3rd round. If Jesse comes in and keeps it close, that makes people question Amaru more than they do Jesse because
That's fair.
Amaru is the one who has that bigger target on his back. At the end of the day, if Amaru is even within a point or 2 of Jesse, reverse that. Jesse's within a point or 2 of Amaru. Amaru looks like a failure because, I could have waited back and got this other rookie later in the draft, and I could have drafted this higher talent caliber player. No, you don't want that. You can't have that. And
But also, just overall,
So
if he
does it
doesn't
set
do
the
well,
tone?
I
Here,
think
I'll agree with you. It
that's-
sets the tone, but it sets the tone for IG because IG has more rookies you got to worry about. At the end of the day, there's so many other.
That was awesome.
Jader, like halfway through, he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back on this. Because see that, like I said, like I told Kelsey beforehand, if you sit back and you don't speak up during these open times, you're not going to be able to get those points. And
Why'd you give away my strat, man? Why'd you give away my strat? That's all I got to say to you.
Because I'm trying to. Because
your strat, it's just the strat.
I know, but if people don't know it,
the
if
strategy.
people aren't aware of it, then take advantage.
Yeah, I know now.
Well, I think what probably hurt you, Jada, just a little bit that time is just the amount of knowledge you had to be able to probably input for the players for these 2 specific ones. I mean, you gave some good points overall,
We've
just on the
talked
basis
to
of
him,
your
to
own
be fair.
inside. Now,
Yeah, no.
So-
I talked to Amaru probably 5 days ago. Just introduced myself. He introduced himself. It was like a 3-minute conversation, and that was it. That's as far as I know. But again, I'm telling you, obviously
Preston.
Sam was looking at him. The exchange was looking at him. Like there were a lot of people.
Yeah.
Where they were asking what was going on. So I think I can say at least that much.
Yeah,
Well-
and everything that you guys were saying about Paul, I agree 100%. Paul Preston is my pick for comeback player of the year. I think
Agreed.
everyone.
Paul Preston has
If we get
a mission.
season 6, Paul Preston, ooh, y'all better watch out.
He has a mission and he has a target, which I will not disclose, but he has someone he's coming for that ass, man.
It's
So
Bateman. We all know that because Bateman fucked him over.
Did y'all watch SEN today? Like every freaking Streamlab was like, Bateman ain't shit. Like it was so like all the fans were going after Bateman. I'm like, oh, poor Bateman. Like I kind of feel bad for him.
And I mean, hold on one second here. Everything on my computer froze for a second.
Oh, good.
So I mean, one big thing though is everyone's here seems to be talking and thinking about go Kelsey go. Everyone's talking all about how big of a deal it was that Amaru went first, or I guess second really, but like the first big rookie that went. You got to start thinking about these guys, these players that are just like that everyone is. They're razor focused on, and I think that one match coming up that has everyone's eyeballs on it. Everyone's waiting to see what happens is Merle versus Snyder. We got 2 huge competitors. We got the former player of the year, former singles champion, former team champion versus the current player of the year, current team's champion, someone who has not actually gotten the singles belt yet, going up in their first match against each other. They haven't played before, and they're going in for
boggles my mind. That boggles my mind. They both have been in the league for so long.
Like my mind's in a bottle, and
I said boggles my mind,
and I said bottle.
Whatever.
And I think the big thing that we got to see is, I guess what is this? This is question number 4 here. So we're back to starting off with Matt here. Matt, not necessarily who do you want to win, not who do you want to end up seeing that can go on and play against Collins and win or lose against him, etc. It's been years in the making of 2 players that have been arguably put on top of the round, the Mount Rushmore or the best players of all time. What kind of match do you want to see happen between these 2 titans of the game?
We need a match like we saw with Collins, and that's what we need to see. And honestly, because Snyder has said for years, I'm the real GOAT. He went on, anytime he was on backstage, he's like, give me Merle, I'm the GOAT, and I'm going to prove it when I take him on. At the end of the day, Jeff Snyder has to absolutely massacre Dan Merle to claim he's the GOAT, because Merle's got all those singles titles. Merle's got all those wins. Jeff Snyder has a tendency to let his emotions get the better of him in matches. Happened even in this team's championship match that he won. It looked like he had checked out, and as a fan, it upset me because you checked out. You look like you didn't care. If you let that happen, there's going to be a point where Roxy can't snap him out of it, because that's what saved his ass the last few times. Look at what happened when he played Paul Oyama in New York. His emotions get the best of him and choked away a title. That's what happened. He feels like this league is built against him, but that's not the case. So Snyder, he's the one who actually needs to get a W coming out of this, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't beat him and then get that redemption at Collins, then who are you going to – why you have no argument to put yourself as the GOAT. Can you still be on Mount Rushmore? Yes, without a doubt. You can be on Mount Rushmore, but you can't have that claim as the GOAT that you've been clamoring for these last few years. It's not there. It won't be there. Just like if Brady retires before Pat can play again.
All right. Well, Kelsey.
Really, Brandy? I never would have guessed that you're Team Merle.
I'm Team Merle. I am Team Merle also, but it
blows my mind.
To the question as truthfully as I answered it.
Big question here, Kelsey, that I just had on the tip of my tongue, and then it disappeared there. Now I remember. So one of the big things that occurred last fall when it came to and that we saw with the singles tournament and the teams tournament was there was this Jeff Snyder revenge tour, where he kept going up against people, whether through a team match or a singles match, that he had previously lost to. In a singles match, they were all people he had lost to. Then he went up against Collins. He had never played him. He lost against Collins. Teams tournament, he went up against Collins and he beat him. So he got that revenge. But he didn't really get that revenge because that was in teams. So what do you think the outcome is going to be here? Are we going to see the revenge tour come to its natural conclusion for Jeff Snyder? Or are we going to see revenge tour begin for Dan Merle?
Honestly, I really do think it depends on which Snyder we get that day. I mean, my money is I do have Dan Merle winning this match. But what we saw Snyder accomplish last season, it was like, I've always been a Snyder fan, but like it was something special to watch, where you're right, every like real moments where he lost, he came back and kicked butt and beat people that he had previously lost to, which was amazing to watch. I think that fueled him, and going into this match, he's still on that high from that. He's like, okay, now it's time. I'm going to beat the GOAT. But also I think the pressure is also slightly less on Snyder, because if he wins, he beat the fucking GOAT. If he loses, he lost to Dan Merle. I mean, like, what else are you really looking in? So I think that slightly less pressure on him, technically, I think is going to actually benefit him. So he is less likely to get into, like you've said, that funk he gets into sometimes when things aren't going his way. Because honestly, I feel like going into this match, the whole thing is set up kind of to go his way. No matter what, he is not going to prove people, like, He could prove people wrong, or he can meet people's expectations. He can't fail people's expectations, which I think that adds lesser pressure on him. Actually, and then Roxy behind him cheering him on, I think gives him a very solid chance. So my money's on Merle winning, but I would not sleep on Snyder. I think Snyder has a very good shot on it. And time, I guess.
And you yield your time. Now, Jader, I know you've just heard a bunch of comments from Matt and Kelsey here, and of course you probably run into them or talk to them a few times, maybe since you joined the league. One big thing that I noticed were some contrary points between what Matt said and what Kelsey said, where Matt pointed out how Snyder is always talking about that he's like the real GOAT, but he has to actually beat Dan now. And Kelsey, however, she's saying Snyder actually kind of has the winning end of this, because either he wins and he beat the GOAT, or he lost and it's okay because he lost against Dan Merle. As far as how Snyder has been able to hype himself up and kind of troll everyone with how he says, what does it mean for him to win versus lose this match? What do you think?
Everything. Because that's what Snyder does. He likes to run his mouth. and honestly, again, and it goes without saying, he's a fantastic player. I think, what's his singles record? Like 13-8 or something like that, or 16-8. So he has a winning record. He's incredible. But again, just like Kelsey said, he is going against Dan Merle. Dan Merle is, I think he had one loss all of last season compared to the same thing with who did he lose to? Okay, so yeah, Snyder only lost to Ethan Irwin and Adam Collins last year, versus Dan Merle that lost to just Collins just now. So Snyder, again, always saying that he's the GOAT. He wants Merle, again, with reason. He has to do it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. Like, I think that he's talked himself so high, so up there, that losing is not an option for him. Because I don't feel like people are going to look at him any less or anything, but they're going to be like, all right, man, you had your shot and you kind of blew it already, Time. That's all I got. Sorry.
All right, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all you now just kind of talk amongst yourselves. We got this huge match. Who do you want to see come out on top there? But also, who do you want to see potentially take on Collins again? Do you want to see it become a big Collins versus Snyder rematch, or do you want to see Merle reclaim what he lost in overtime?
For the last season, one of my favorite stories was Snyder's arc of redemption and revenge and things like that. So going into this, I think Dan's going to win. I want Snyder to win. I want him to prove to all the haters, hate that word, out there that he is what he says he is, because I truly do feel he is one of the best players the Schmoedown has ever seen.
No one's not saying he's one of the best players. We're just saying he's not the GOAT. I mean, granted, his team's match is what he has. His team's record is what he has the real argument with. He's 19-6 in teams. Snyder is 7-6. Snyder also didn't really start delving into teams until he returned to the league. So that's something that has to be taken into consideration. Snyder had all of these matches he racked it up with the Patriots, and he had all those defenses. They held the title for over a year, but at the end of the day, Merle just hasn't really been on a team situation that's really worked out. Can that change this year with Ben Bateman? Can we see a record that matches what Snyder has? But Dan's 16-6, and he's been in this situation so many times before in singles. Snyder has not. Snyder's been to the situation twice, and he's lost to Harloff, lost to Oyama.
Yeah, but also now, looking at this, though, we're talking about what we think is going to happen, and we're not necessarily his argument's the GOAT, whatever. He's the GOAT, she's the GOAT, whatever's the GOAT.
I'm saying you have to look at what's happened in the past. Snyder has not shown up in these instances. He's been at the number one contender shot.
Sometimes he has, and Dan Burrell's kind of
but
the best
not in singles. Not in singles. We have not seen him really show up in singles. That's the big argument here. Snyder has always been back and forth in singles. He'll start off strong. His record right now is
not
buoyed
showing
We've
up in
seen him go
singles, or
very
No, no.
far in a
I
singles
said
tournament.
he's
We've
gone
seen
back and
Gamero
forth.
lose
Yeah,
to
and that's what
the
I'm-
Andrew guy. I think this
this year is
either
buoyed by the
way.
fact that he played well in this past tournament. His total record, as I said, is 13-8. It is buoyed by what he's done in singles tournaments. But at the end of the day, when it's just normal singles and he's got something on the line, he's not shown up. That's what I'm talking about. Everything is perfect for Snyder because he knows, okay, I have this pathway here. A normal singles setup, he's never really shown up in. And at the end of that's what happens. He chokes. And that's why this past year, she wasn't my manager of the year, but based off of those speeches she gave him to pull him back from the edge
And
of the
she's
abyss.
still his manager.
And
So,
I know,
and
and
she's
that's
been
why-
working with him
but-
longer and longer.
But
I'm
we're
sure they've
talking
had
about
tons of pep
Bateman.
talks.
We're talking about Merle. We are talking about someone who was able to do this without a manager for so long. For so long, he's able to do this without a manager. And now you have to put someone who can do it by themselves against someone who needs someone to coddle them and bring them back after they've taken a couple wrong questions and they're getting upset because of it. Are you serious? Like, how am I supposed to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Snyder can do this? I can't trust
You're
him
right.
as far as I
But
can
guess
throw
what?
him.
Any given Sunday seems to go certain ways.
Yes,
And
any given
having
Sunday.
seen
But at the
what
same
Snyder
time,
has
when
done
you have
last
a
season
pattern
and what
of
I've seen
losing,
Dan
it's a
sometimes do
different
in team
situation.
singles in the past,
There's a
I
pattern
am
here.
not sleeping on
There's a
Snyder for
pattern
this
here.
match.
I'm not sleeping on him, but Merle doesn't need the whole situation right now. Merle does not need to have a manager at his side. Merle is able to keep himself in the game. Even when the Bateman match, Bateman versus Merle 2, where he thought he choked it away, and Ben missed those two questions. What does Merle end up doing? He kills it in overtime. Merle versus Bateman 1, he kills it in overtime. Even when he's from behind, the fact of the matter is you're playing Dan Merle that gets in people's heads, and at the end of the day, if you can't beat him and if you can't get in his head, he's got a good chance of beating you.
Master
That's
of pissing
That's
people
over.
Good job,
All right,
guys.
well-
that was fantastic.
No, I am not.
Jader's
I'm
not
being-
getting screwed by Buck.
Jader
Jader's
definitely didn't
been
get screwed
quiet.
this time.
Jader's just sitting there like, I'm just gonna sit here and
All
Let
right,
them yell.
so we finished our
Jim's
final
jealous.
topic, so we have
I'll
one
be back.
left.
I'll be back. I got the gist of the show now. I understand it.
But unfortunately, Jader, you did not make it to the final topic, so you will have to sit backstage. But we will bring you
So that's
back.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
I got you, man. Don't worry about it.
So we're on to our final topic here. It's gonna be interesting because when we were developing this week's show, we had only the 4 matches that Christian initially announced last week. So basically what I want to see from everyone here is you can either talk about the matches he did drop Monday and Tuesday, or what matches do you, so we're on Kelsey, right?
yeah, Kelsey, because I went first last.
Yep. So Kelsey, you can either go talk about the matches he did announce, or what matches do you want to see here in season 8?
I think I have a few matches that I am dying. My timer's not going. Is it? No, it goes. Okay. The few matches that I am dying to see this season, I feel like one of them was completely and totally set up during the free agency special. I am loving the rivalry between Bateman and McWeeny. I want to see that be a slow build throughout the season. And then when that match against them finally happens, whether it's in teams, but I'm hoping singles, just the two of them, I want to see that so bad. Not just for the shit talk, not just for promos, but they are some of the most solid players in the Schmoedown. Plus, I mean, McWeeny is his guy's former teammate, so like who knows what could be worked out with that. So I am dying to see that match, and I think it'll be a very solid one. Another one I want to see, and it kind of depends how Star Wars goes out, but I want to see Damon versus Damon. I want that to be a live event. I want to see Alex and Molly go against each other in Star Wars, and I mean, I want to see Molly win. I want to see, as it's been said, I want to see the belt go from one side of the bed to the other side of the bed. And I think it'd be a fantastic storyline. I think the promos will be incredible. So I'm hoping the way the season works, it lines up to that, and it happens at the end of the year, so I can see it live. And then I definitely want to see Jesse Swift and Jacob Whitten, because their banter just came out of nowhere. It's the most organic rivalry I've ever seen happen in Schmoedown, where they just suddenly start talking to each other on shows and in chats, things like that, and now they have a rivalry. So I am wanting to see what would happen if they do play each other and what the results of that would be.
All right.
Real quick, I just gotta say, fuck you to Shug in the chat.
Right? He's going after you hardcore. I don't know why, but
I'm not big on sports, but I do gotta say, from what I heard this year, since my family is from Ohio, seems like the Browns are doing pretty well until half the team was removed for COVID. Imagine what they could have done without.
And then we still beat the Steelers.
Okay, but it's literally the same
for the year.
question. What do you want to see either in the matches Christian did announce, and what matches would you like to see throughout all of season 8?
Well, of course, throughout season 8, I want Merle versus Collins too, because how that first match happened, I can only expect the same. That it's just what we've seen so far. Each of these guys are so consistent. Granted, like I said, Collins has missed more 5-pointers than he's hit. That's just the stat. It is what it is. But if I'm gonna look at other matches, Kelsey actually took a few of mine. Damn. But no, I'm honestly really looking forward to some of the rookie matches. A rookie match I personally want to see is Paige the Boston Badass for Brady versus the Rager Rick Radis. We had them on our show. We actually also had Amaru Jesse on our show, and then 3 days later it was announced as a match. So that was something I thought was interesting. But at the end of the day, I just want live events. I want to see how these people perform under the lights. I've said it for years, or said it all year when it came to Collins. Collins is playing well at home, but at the end of the day, I need to see how he plays under the lights. Because if he doesn't play under the lights well, then what is he a paper champion? Is this a participation award? Because you need to perform under the lights. That's why Snyder's are so touted. That's why Merle's so touted. That's why even Guy and Bateman are so touted, because of how they play under the lights. So any of these rookies, any of these other competitors, we need to see them play under the lights. And I'm down for any match that we're given under the lights, because that means we're all going to be, COVID's done, we're all going to be able to celebrate, enjoy Schmoedown together, and yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Solid points. Very close there. So we're going to have 3 minutes on the clock. Just continue to talk about what you guys want to see. Maybe what are some storylines you want to see? Do we want to see this thing with Andrew Guy get resolved, or do we not care? What storylines would y'all like to also see in season 8, along with any other matches you didn't get in your 90 seconds?
So one storyline I'm really interested in is what Christian's actually hinted out over the last week or so. He's hinted that even though Eric Zipper was drafted by Winston, we're still going to see those two butt heads. That storyline that was being set up about Winston coming for Zipper's ass isn't over. And I was talking to Winston last night. He's like, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have this weird dynamic. That's something that's just going to happen. But at the same time, I still want anybody else in this league. And I'm going to get the best out of him. He said he is going to make sure Zipper is able to perform at the highest capability and do what he needs to do to win. He wants to see Zipper a champion, and Zipper has that capability. Zipper's also a 3-division player. So
I'm already concerned about that storyline though a little bit, because during the draft, there's this whole speech Winston gave about, of course I'm going to draft this guy. It was very compassionate, loving, and now we're going back to the rivalry again.
No. But it's supposed to. So here, how Winston explained it is it's coming from Zipper's side. The relationship's gonna have to be rocky. That's just what it is, because of how it ended. Winston is the one who's ready to bury the hatchet in the storyline. Can we say the same for Zipper? We haven't seen Zipper talk since before the draft. We haven't seen Zipper talk in a long time. So Winston is the one who is going to have to be a real manager and get his player to buy in. That's what this ultimately is about. It's about buying in. It's about being the best team you can possibly be, because you are one of my top players. You were my #1 draft pick. I drafted Laura Kelly. I drafted Ace, but you were my #1. I could have got Laura Kelly before I got you.
And that storyline's all fine and good, though, but they had left the hugest cliffhanger Schmoedown history at Spectacular, with Andrew Guy literally being physically assaulted in the alleyway. If they don't pick that up,
Andrew Guy was on the draft list. We don't know what he's going to be. We don't know where he's going to be.
If they just let it drop, though, then that's the biggest letdown in a storyline for Schmoedown.
It's not a letdown, because it's going to build to something. It's going to build to something.
So that's why
you're going to see this. Literally, at the end of the year, this storyline is going to play out throughout the entire year. This storyline will play out throughout the entire year because what you need to see is Andrew Guy coming back at the end. We may have a season without Guy. Get used to it. That's why Christian invested so heavily in characters coming into this year. He invested so heavily into characters coming to the draft. That's why he picked the Ranger. That's why he picked Brother Williams, because they are characters. Christian wanted the characters. And at the end of the day, he knew he needed the characters to help get the Schmoedown to survive because Guy's not gonna be here this season.
Yeah, Guy is not gonna be here, so they are
people need to get used to
relying on these new rookies. That's why the auditions were so important. So that's why I think all these rookies better be bringing their story game. Like Jacob and Jesse, Andrew Guy. If they don't
Andrew Guy is not gonna be here.
Then the whole audition process was like a total complete flop. Because that's what Christian was going for.
Because at the end of the day, this is a character league that's also about trivia. We need to see how people do character-wise with the future, whether it's rookies, whether it's players who end up developing character. God
shit.
And we have our winner. She definitely changed after that first
man.
Like
Did
if
you
saw
that?
the
they
look,
were like, oh, we're 1-1, and they just were like screaming over each other there.
It was
louder and louder and
you guys
louder.
Are just trading jabs. Yeah, you got it. It's not about who has the best point. It's about who has the louder point.
Yep.
I mean, and like they weren't that loud though. Like they weren't that loud.
I need a rematch ASAP. I need a rematch. This was and this is congrats, Kelsey. But I need a rematch ASAP because this was great. As soon as she figured out, if y'all hadn't said anything, this would be my W. Suge, they fucked me over just like they fucked you over. They fucked you.
They did warn me before I even got here. I just I just needed to warm up.
Here's the other thing. If you had won, it was 33-31 you. Then we'd have this running bit of C2A constantly coming in second because it's happened the last 3 episodes.
I'm still gonna give her props. That was a great Chris can't keep up with me half the time, even though he thinks he can. I just let him talk. That's the end of it. That's how that works. Because I know I'm like I could talk with somebody else. I could talk.
Chris was cracking me up in the chat the whole
entire stream. I know.
Here's the deal, Matt. Once you started really dominating conversations, I thought this is it. Matt's got it. Kelsey came in. She played it perfectly. She was like, she just fucking let
Not
loose.
True.
Man.
Paul has lost as well.
Paul lost and Alex lost.
That's honestly the highlight of this is that Paul lost at this and I happened to win. So that's what I'm taking away from.
Here's one. You want to know a bigger highlight?
I'm lightheaded too. I'm lightheaded too because I was barely breathing in that last segment.
bring Jader back on too, but not including tonight because it's still live. The first 3 shows. The show Paul was on has the least amount of viewers, and we want to keep it that way.
As it should.
Have you guys had one that was this close yet at the end?
Actually, the very first one, it was down to Jill from CPOV and Alex Shashek, C2A. Jill won by 1 point, like 103 to 102 or something total.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, if we kept overall totals, I still would have won.
Yeah, if
you would have won by 1 point.
I know.
It would have been a 1 point win because it was 101 to 98. So she closed. It would have been a 1 point in your favor there. Yeah. Oof.
So Jader,
damn, man.
Also, hello, Jader. What are your thoughts on the whole show format?
Oh, it was awesome, dude. I honestly, now I know that I just gotta fucking talk. Like the thing is that they bring up such interesting points that I'm like, man, you're right, you're absolutely. And I'm they're cheering them on, and I see the points going up. I'm like, dude, you're going against them, and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Jade, I saw you go yeah.
I gave him 2 points when he just talked during that last one. I'm like, oh my god, he's not a word. Let me give him a point.
No, there was a point when Kelsey finally started, getting louder.
No, right now at the end, I was like, oh, shit.
Interjecting.
I was
You're jumping in. They're yelling, and then Jader's just wanted to listen to you now because I think you were resigned at that point to I'm not getting it. But Kelsey, you go.
It was after that whatever round where we asked about Intergeekdom. Jader's like, yeah, I'm out of this. I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna do my thing. I know I'm out of this.
When we take Mike Beacon out of this fucking chat, man, he's pissing me the fuck off, bro. Fuck
he's trolling you so bad.
He's been trolling me all episode.
I need some water, man.
But no, you guys, that was so much fun. so far, that is what I've noticed is like a lot of people with the first topic get like they're a little soft spoken, not sure what to do, but like after each one, they get more and more like they get how that 4 minutes work. You just talk, and if someone's talking, you still talk, so then you can get your point across. Like the look, I believe it was the first one. Kelsey wanted to say something at like 30 seconds, and Mac just talked, and then Kelsey kind of backed down. She didn't do it. After that, Kelsey like, I got something to say, and y'all gonna hear it. Like it was.
I gotta say, guys, I learned something, so I'm gonna be much more vocal and action now. Like, no, Paul, shut up.
You're welcome, Paul.
You should have been doing that for 2 years.
You should make that
I was sitting over here with the smile, and I'm just quiet. Even Rage is like, Kelsey, I didn't know if Kelsey liked me or not because like she didn't really say anything. Everybody else was talking.
I'm never gonna wear an edgewise.
Occasionally vaping or something.
Just quietly lurking.
Just like slowly rubbing her Loki pin.
But no, this went very well. I'm glad you guys decided to join us here. Jader, you have a match in just over a month, so we'll definitely try to get you back on that week after it airs there.
Perhaps maybe as an interview, we'll figure out someone else to do, and we'll get you in on our new interview format that we got going on too.
Yeah. I'm good at those, man.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I mean, then again, just to remember though, the interview, the point of that is to talk, so it's not that different.
All right, I gotta talk. I just gotta talk a little bit more. I got you, man. But I could talk about myself all day.
Of course.
Yeah, well, definitely. Is Kelsey coming for that Schmoebates title?
I might have finished Schmoebase. I won before it was even a real show, and it was just a segment on Call Live. So.
This legit.
This is rigged.
Oh shit! Yeah, Kelsey, you got to win on Tom Hiddleston's birthday.
She'll never forget this day.
I dedicate my win to him.
He's watching the show.
I'm sure he is.
Hey, Chris, you deserve to be buried at times.
Chris, I guess you're gonna have to because we're getting Chris on next week. So it looks like Chris will hopefully get his revenge. Kelsey, where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at KelseyKinsGamer on Twitch. Hopefully, we'll be doing some watch-alongs pretty soon on there, so that'll be fun. And then Call to Action. I'm all over the place on there. So if you're watching a show on there, there's a good chance I might be on it. So I'll see you guys there.
Yep, they do great content over there at Call to Action. Matt, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at WattMovies_Matt. You can find me on YouTube, a part of the Who Are They Real Entertainment Network. Our Schmoedown show, Spin from the Real, that's where you'll find us. But you'll also find my reviews. I just did one for Malcolm and Marie that Quiz Show does not agree with, and neither does Jader, apparently.
By the way, I don't hate the film.
I haven't finished it yet.
I think it's not good.
Yeah. Not.
The acting carries it. I can admit that.
Yeah, no, the acting was great, but that's it. That's all.
The cinematography is fantastic too. Hold on, hush there, Jader. But yeah, you can find me there. I will have a review of the movie I watched tonight that these fine people know about.
Stop with the teasing. Stop with the teasing.
It's fun. It's fun seeing movies a month in advance.
No, no. I guess the thing is here, without spoiling it, do you know when that embargo is up? Like
first week of March, literally the week it comes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
don't get.
I look forward to as a new subscriber to your channel. I look forward to seeing that review.
Yeah.
All right, and
I got a review dropping Thursday for the Moratorium, that new Jodie Foster movie.
That happened to get random fucking Golden Globe nominations. Yeah, that thing. Moratorium.
Yeah, whatever, however the fuck you pronounce it. Yeah.
Dude, Chug has been so great in the chat.
Man,
and Gator,
that's an ass whooping. This was a title match, Shug.
This was a bloodbath.
Yeah, Shug, this is something you're not used to.
Oh, Jader, where can we all find you?
Nothing used to
online.
Shug's used to a rigged match.
Twitter, and Instagram, infamous J13, Facebook, Jader Paramo. I got a show, weekly show that we do, the Jader and Kyle show, where we bring in, just friends, interview them for a little bit, and then we do a deep dive in whatever film they want to discuss. This week, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'll probably the episode will be up by Thursday night. But next week, I can announce this. I actually locked them in today. I got Jeff Snyder actually coming on my show, nice. And we're gonna do a deep dive on the Crow. So
Paul would love that.
Making the rounds.
Yeah.
Was it? I think he was just. Was he? Oh, fuck me, right? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Is it fine?
Choppy,
but yeah.
Yeah. I know he was just on the video chronic quiz for the Crow, I believe.
Oh, was he? Holy shit! I wish I would have played him on that.
Maybe check out that video beforehand.
Damn, I told Video Drew to let me know when she was gonna do the Crow. I'm gonna message her now. I told her when you do the Crow, let me know. No, yeah, so okay, no wonder he wants to do the movie. Because I told him, I'm like, hey, shoot me whatever. I'm like, I heard you're a fan of the Crow. Somebody told me. And then he's like, let's talk that. He's like, I'm down to do that. So that's coming out next week on the 17th.
Wait. Jeff Snyder actually likes a superhero movie?
Yeah, no. Crazy, huh?
No.
Excuse me, comic book movie.
Yeah.
It's funny. He only follows my cosplay IG, and it's all comic book characters, so I find it funny. Not my normal Instagram, just my cosplay Instagram.
Yeah, no. Actually, that's the only thank you I can give to Deke right now. He's the reason why I got Snyder's because he was on Deke's show. So
nice. Yeah. I think was that last week?
That was last week. Yeah.
Okay. So that was
last week. We got Snyder on our show because we tagged him in a tweet once. He watched our play along where we just talked mad shit for half an hour on him. And then he DM'd and he's like, "Hey, let's talk."
Yeah.
It was so great. Jeff, where can everyone find you online?
Here. You can find me here. You can also find me at GEOFF1106 on Twitter. I go and retweet things, and I also tweet things that are my own thoughts too. As Twitter does. So other than that, my lights just went off behind me. Great. Where can people find you, Buck?
Lights out, bro.
So you can follow me on Twitter personally at BrandonBuck88.
Sure, I'm just trying to catch my breath.
Matt smile. Make sure to follow the show Twitter, Schmoe Me Money. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like what you saw. We do have 3 prior episodes, so if you want to go ahead and check those out, those are just as entertaining as it was tonight. If you could also leave a like on the video, and then once the video is done, if you guys could just leave a comment as to, did you like the show? Is it a little chaotic? Is it too much? Just tell us what you thought of the show. Wow. Okay. And in regards to that, we will see y'all next week, same time.